What's going on, everybody? It's Coach Topher. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you probably noticed that this was the very first video I've ever done without an intro. This video is not going to have an outro. It's not going to have music or graphics or anything like that. Basically, this is about as real as it's going to get on my channel. So this is about my life, what's been going on, and just kind of let you guys know why I haven't been posting videos. So this is a life and channel update. And I usually have, some sort of idea, an outline of what I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to do when I sit down to record these videos. That's not going to be the case with this one. I'm just kind of freestyling it, and hopefully I don't ramble too much. So I've gotten quite a few comments and tweets and things like that. Just like, hey, Coach, why have you been posting? What's going on? Did you quit YouTube? No, I didn't quit YouTube. I just have had probably the worst 5 weeks of my entire life. I wouldn't wish what my family and I have been through on anybody. So starting about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I was out of town and my dad got really sick, and this is one tough SOB, my dad. He started having the shakes really bad for about 3 days. Like, Chris, I've never shaken like this, but he started feeling better. I came back on Thursday night. We hung out, watched some TV, had a good time. The next morning, I woke up to him yelling and he couldn't walk. We thought it was his gout. I begged him to let me take him to the hospital. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He would not go to the hospital, and he just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And he was just like, look, just leave me alone. I'm fine. Just give me a couple days and I'll be good to go. I've been through this before. So I trusted him, but I was getting really pissed off because he wouldn't let me call the ambulance. But I woke up on Monday morning about 6 o'clock and found Dad on the ground, could barely speak to me. And at that point, I just got down into his face. I'm like, look, man, I love you, but you're going to the effing hospital right now. I'm calling an ambulance. I don't care what you say. And he finally just looked up at me and was like, okay, called the ambulance. And look, I'm not going to go into overly graphic details. I'll just tell you that this has been absolutely beyond awful. My dad's almost died 3 or 4 times. He set the ICU heart rate record with 217 beats per minute, which is absolutely terrifying. My dad spent 17 days in the ICU, which is the intensive care unit, which is for people who are extremely, extremely sick. My dad had a massive, massive kidney infection and became septic, lost his ability to think and speak clearly. It was really, really bad. And all the nurses and doctors and EMTs told me that if I didn't call that day, my dad probably would have been dead by the next day. And that's pretty sobering and pretty scary. I can tell you that it was absolute hell. And on the second night that Dad was in there, I left, and thought they were getting the infection under control. The nurses were like, Chris, go home, get some sleep. You've got to get a little bit of sleep here. And so I said, okay, hey, I'm going to go home. After about an hour and a half at home, I felt guilty. I called in, said, hey, how's Dad doing? Like, oh, he's doing great. Just go ahead and lay down for a nap. Well, 20 minutes later, I get a call back, and they're like, Chris, at 5:40, and if a hospital calls and gives you a time when something happened, that's not good. It's like at 5:40, your father's heart went into AFib, and I'm not going to get into a bunch of medical terminology and everything, but that basically means an irregular heartbeat and the heart rate just jumps through the roof. 217 is not good. It literally set a record. And so my brother and I had to make a choice of whether to intubate my father, which is putting a tube down his throat. And it was only supposed to be for 3 or 4 days. It was against his wishes as far as, artificial means of keeping him alive. But we did it to save his life, and he ended up being on the ventilator for 12 days and being sedated, and that was horrible. I hardly left his bedside. I suffered through him with every twitch and pain and everything. It was awful. So anyway, the tube came out, and Dad started coming back around, and I thought he was going to kill me for calling an ambulance and putting a tube down his throat. But my dad came out of this in this like Zen Buddhist state of mind and just was like, thank you for saving my life. He was thanking all the doctors. He was just like, Chris, life is about love and relationships and things like that. Things I don't always hear from my father. It was just, he had an experience. He almost died quite a few times, and it was pretty eye-opening. And my father is the ultimate troll. This jackass calls me in close, and he said he said a lot of funny things, but 2 of the funniest things that he said was he called me in close. I'm like, Dad, you okay? He's like, yeah, Chris, I need you to go home. And my brother and I bought my dad a the Kill Bill sword. So he's like, I need you to smuggle my Kill Bill sword in case the zombie apocalypse starts. It's like, man, it says all throughout the hospital, no weapons allowed, no weapons allowed. I left my pocket knife in my car. I'm like, yeah, I don't think they're going to let me do that. But then he got all serious a little while later. And he's like, Chris, come here. And he could barely talk, because the tube was down his throat for so long. And he was like, I'm going to go for 218 today. I'm going to try and break my own record. The 217 ICU heart rate record. I just looked at him like, you're not funny, asshole. And he's like, oh yeah, I am. If you could see your face right now, that was hilarious. So, we get him through all this. And what's crazy is my dad was up and walking around before all this, but I'm getting ready to leave one day. And this nurse is like, just comes up to me and I just wanted to go, I'm trying not to cuss in this video, but I wanted to just, I don't know. I was so mad when she did this. I'm getting ready to leave and she was just like, oh yeah, so you know what we're going to do about your dad's paralysis and him being paralyzed. And I'm just like, what? That's the way I was told my dad's paralyzed. I knew that he didn't have any movement or feeling in his legs, but we thought that was just temporary for being in the bed for so long. And it turns out that it wasn't. There's something wrong. We cannot figure out exactly what it is. And so, yeah, my dad's paralyzed right now. And this has been going on for almost 5 weeks, over 5 weeks. We've been at the hospital. And my dad's at a wonderful rehab facility, but it's, I think it hit me really hard. I didn't tell my brother for a couple of days. And, I wasn't sure how much Dad knew. And, when I found out he knew everything, I'm like, you're still in amazing spirits. I'm like, that's awesome. He's like, Chris, I'm going to walk again. He's like, I'm going to get back out there. I'm going to kick you and your brother's ass at golf. He's like, that's just all there is to it. So, look, Dad has a long road ahead of him with kidney surgeries, at least one, if not 3 kidney surgeries and bladder surgeries down in Indianapolis, MRIs, spinal surgeries. Dude has a lot of stuff wrong with him. And he's definitely getting better in a lot of ways. But the best thing about my dad right now is his attitude. We are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into this already. Insurance is going to cover a good portion of it. But, I think I eventually, here in a couple of weeks, when things settle down, I will start a GoFundMe page for Dad, because there's a lot of expenses between surgeries and rehab and modifications to his house and everything else. But you hope for the best, but you have to plan for the worst in a lot of things. So bottom line is, and guys leaving comments, they want to leave comments and are worried about my brother Michael and I, we're good. I've never been so emotionally, physically, and mentally exhausted in my life. But you know what? I'm all about home team. It's like my dad was the greatest father anybody could ever ask for. The guy we used to skip school one Friday every year around my birthday to go to a Cubs game. He's just an amazing man. And, the nurses and all the doctors were like, Chris, you just have to go home. You've got to get some sleep. I never missed a shift change, where they changed nurses and no one was around for about an hour. I've hardly left his bedside. It's just, he's my boy, man. It's my dad. And it's just like, that's why I haven't been posting videos. I just, like I said, it's just been a really, really rough time for my family. My uncle, he lost his entire house during all of this. I remember walking out with the car. I was just in tears one morning. I was just beyond exhausted, I was beside myself. And my mom calls, is like, Christopher, your uncle's house burnt down. They lost everything. 4 vehicles, 2 motorcycles, 4 ATVs, the entire house burned down. Your uncle was barely able to get their 2 friends and my cousin and the dog out of the house. They barely survived, and it was during that whole blizzard. It's just been one thing after another. But look, the one thing I learned in the ICU is that people have it a lot worse than my dad or myself or my uncle. There are people who are suffering, who are in pain. And you know what? I'm not the same person after this experience. No, I'm just not. This has opened my eyes to a lot of different things. And it's strange. I find myself being more having more empathy for people, trying to be more understanding and thinking more about others than myself. And I'm still going to make YouTube videos and I'm still going to make little squeakers cry when I stab them and send them back. But I just wasn't in a headspace to do anything. I mean, this video, I really had to kind of get myself motivated to sit down and do it. And this is a hell of a lot longer than what I wanted it to be. And there's 25 other things that I would like to talk about. And, I'll do an update video and a GoFundMe. But if you guys want to leave some comments, leave them for my dad. He'll read these. He's in this wonderful, wonderful rehab facility. And before I forget, I just want to thank the EMTs, the firefighters who came that first day. And I want to thank all the doctors, the amazing doctors and specialists. And Dad saw so many of them, I've almost lost track. And more than anything, I really, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank the nurses out there and the techs who help the nurses out. What you people do is unbelievably amazing. I don't know how you do it. There was one nurse who was really special to my dad and I, and she had lost a patient next door. And I saw her go into the back in tears. And my heart just broke for her. And 3 minutes later, there she was, back by his bedside with a smile and moving forward. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you nurses do it. I don't know how anyone in the medical profession does it, but I am beyond thankful. And like I said, I'm not going to be the same after this, but in a good way. In a good way. I'm more positive and more friendly, more outgoing than I ever was. I'm more thankful than I ever was. But at the same time, I'm less willing to put up with crap. There are going to be a couple of videos in the future where I'm going to go ahead and put a few people on blast for some of the stuff that's been going on. And, I'm just tired of sitting back. And it's like I've had so many opinions on things throughout my time on YouTube, and I've just stayed out of the drama. I've stayed out of the trouble. I'm just like, you know what? At this point, life is too short. I have a lot of opinions on some of the YouTube stuff, and I have a lot of opinions on things that are going on in the world and life, and I'm just going to start doing that. If you can't tell, I'm obviously a hell of a lot older than most of you people watching this stuff, but I'm going to start doing some vlogs. I just got my new phone, so I think I'm just going to order a little tripod and start doing some vlogs when I don't have time to sit down and edit a bunch of videos. But I just want to thank all of you, to the few assholes who left me really shitty comments about not posting. Oh, I cussed. I think I already maybe cussed before, but I just want to say it's like, I'm sorry that what I was going through affected your YouTube viewing habits and I didn't put out videos. But everybody who's been cool, and that's 99% of you guys, thank you so much. And like I said, leave some comments down there for Dad. He's going to love reading them. And if you're that evil and horrible of a person that you want to write something shitty or stupid in the comments, man, all I got to say is karma's a bitch, dude. Karma's a bitch. So, and that just shows what a horrible person you are. But I think most of you guys are cool, and I just want to apologize about not posting. I've got a video or two that's pretty close to ready. There's a couple commentaries I want to do, and if you guys just give me another couple weeks or so, I'd really like to start getting some stuff back up to you guys. And I'm sorry I didn't sit down and do this sooner. I really am. So I'm probably going to throw some Black Ops gameplay over this, and I'm not sure what all I have. The end of this may just be blank or black, but it is what it is. I got to hurry up and make a smoothie and get back to the rehab facility and make 18,000 phone calls on my dad's behalf. But I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, want to say I love you guys. I really do. Thank you for all the support on Twitter. You can find my information. I give a lot of updates on Twitter, is what's going on with my dad, what's going on with me. The information will be down below in the description. And like I said, there's 25 other things I wanted to say in this, but I just want to thank you all for everything and sticking with me. And any comments you guys can put down to my dad, he's gonna really, really, really dig it. So thank you guys for everything, and as always, thanks for watching.